So again, looks like we're recording. Thanks everybody for jumping on today's presentation. We're going to be talking about eXp Realty as an opportunity and a life-changing opportunity, as a matter of fact. And I'm going to go through the presentation again a little bit quicker than normal to get into some of the history and then really get into the numbers, which are probably the most impactful. If you see my shirt today, I have a shirt that says hashtag It's Just Math. And if you really run the numbers and look at your business critically, I think you'll come to the same conclusion that many of us came to when we first looked at this opportunity and actually ran the numbers and did the math. So, again, we're going to go through this presentation fairly quickly, and then I'm going to open it up to a few of the leaders and people that have really had their lives changed immeasurably by leveraging this opportunity and leveraging their real estate business and leveraging their contacts. And so as you're going to see, and again, if everyone could just kind of keep their mics muted for me, that would be awesome. Getting a little bit of feedback. Thanks so much. Let's make sure everyone's kind of punched off here. I got some ability to control it. But again, what you're going to see is this is not just another real estate brokerage with a new coat of paint on it. This is not just a lateral move. This is not just, hey, we've got some cool tools. This is not even a tech revolution. It's really a compensation plan revolution, for your average real estate agent. And what you're going to see is by doing what you're already doing, which is basically selling houses and interacting with real estate professionals, you're going to see how you can make more money exponentially over the course of your career than you'll be able to make anywhere else. And so that's the promise. If you sit through this, 45-minute presentation, and I'll show you how that sort of delivers here moving forward. And again, we're going to kind of try and mute everybody's mic just to limit the feedback. So let's get into it in earnest. Basically, who am I? I'm Brian Colhane. I was one of the co-founders. I was the first president for 3 years. I was the chief culture officer for 3 years. But really, I was just somebody who, didn't really have a lot of other options. I grew up in Chicago. I was 27 when I threw all my clothes in a garbage bag and jumped in my buddy's car and rolled out to Arizona, collecting unemployment. Really down and out, not just financially, but also physically and mentally. I wasn't feeling great. Living in Chicago is a bit of a grind, especially when you're in your 20s and you're burning the candle at both ends and maybe not making all the best choices. And so I literally limped out of Chicago and coasted into Arizona on fumes. And I had a bit of a background in commercial real estate, advertising and due diligence sales. So I knew enough to know that I wanted to get into real estate, but I ultimately didn't know exactly what that meant. And so I went to real estate school. And while I was in school, I started interviewing with commercial real estate firms and they all wanted to pay me 20 grand and have me work somebody else's business for 2 or 3 years until they cut me loose. And I just couldn't afford to do that. So I responded to a Craigslist ad. And that it happened to be Glenn Sanford. This is again back in 2004, 2005. Glenn Sanford, in a nutshell, was an internet self-proclaimed dot bomber. He was a coder, a programmer, a consummate entrepreneur. He had started 17 companies prior to eXp. He just was a jack of all trades. He says it best. He said he learned very early on in his life that he was a terrible employee. Right. And so he basically became an entrepreneur and certainly in the tech space. And he got talked into getting his real estate license. He was generating so many leads for a broker in his bedroom community, Bellingham, Washington, that people were like, "Hey, you need to get your license." And as a matter of fact, if you ask Glenn how it went, he actually got paid to study for his license. So I think he's one of the few people that ever got paid an hourly wage to study for his real estate license. But he got his license. He quickly became Rookie of the Year at Prudential. He moved his business to Keller Williams. He liked Keller Williams because Keller had profit share. It had a form of passive income. And as you'll notice, Glenn is as an entrepreneur, you want to have basically an exit strategy. You want to have multiple income streams. You want to be able to exit the business gracefully. You want to have something sustainable, something to show for a life in real estate sales. So that's why he liked Keller. And so he parked all of his 7 teams in Keller Williams at the time. And again, this is 2005, 2006. By that time period, Glenn had grown his business to be probably top 50 Keller Williams earners in the 170,000 agents that were at Keller at the time. He was one of Gary's inner circle. He was basically just crushing it big time. He was running the Millionaire Real Estate Agent Playbook. And Glenn was actually, a little historical note, he was one of the first Rainmaker expansion teams in the history of Keller Williams. And by proxy, that made me one of the first satellite team leaders in the history of Keller Williams. We also had top ranked websites in every market that we're in. So we were crushing it we were generating probably here in Phoenix alone, I generated over $1 billion worth of leads in my first 2 or 3 years as a real estate agent. I was made a team leader day one, right out of, I mean, I actually hadn't even passed my real estate test yet. And Glenn hired me to be his team leader. And so, I just said, yes. I said, let's do it. I recognized a little bit of opportunity. And I also recognized that I was a philosophy student and played college basketball. And something I was really good at was recognizing mastery and recognizing leadership. And so I recognized both of those characteristics in Glenn. And I knew enough to know that this guy was going places, and I just wanted to, jump on his coattails and go as long as he'd keep me in his dojo. And by dojo, I mean he was also a black belt in martial arts. And so Glenn was just a really awesome coach, mentor, leader. He taught me to be an entrepreneurial person that happened to be in real estate. I think there's two types of people in real estate. There's real estate people chasing deals, and then there's entrepreneurs that happen to be in real estate. And so he trained me to be sort of the latter. I certainly was he taught me to be a systems person. He taught me to implement, growing my business by leveraging a team. And so, again, and then also to look for something sustainable. Well, we did the Keller Williams thing for 3.5 years, and we were super loyal, great people, great training, great culture. But unfortunately for them and unfortunately for us, no matter how successful we were, no matter how productive we were as a team, our profit share, our sustainable, piece of the puzzle that was going to allow us to eventually retire from real estate just never delivered. If you think about profit share, it's really the last number on the ledger, if it's a number at all, right? You have gross earnings at the top, you take out your expenses, and you have a profit or a loss number. So if I'm going to give you a percentage of a number, if it's already the smallest number on the piece, then your percentage of that small number is going to be even smaller, right? And so that was sort of our problem. We ended up leaving Keller Williams in 2008, and we started a brokerage called Buyer Tours. So a lot of people don't know this little piece of history, but basically, Glenn, we got sick of, paying heavy splits and 5% franchise fees and, all the red tape and, regional and franchise owners and regional owners and corporate owners. And we just got sick of it all, and we left and we started Buyer Tours Real Estate. And this was again in 2008. Glenn had 7 teams in 7 markets around the country. He was running top ranked websites. So we had a really good shot at making it. As a matter of fact, in 2008, we were on track to do about 150 million that year. And again, he had 10 agents here, 15 there, 20 there. So, maybe no more than 100 agents around the country, but we were on track to do a pretty good year that year. And then of course the market crashed. And so that was sort of our first, OMG moment. And that really caused us to basically re-examine and re-evaluate the entire real estate brokerage model. And that was the big, sort of light bulb moment when Glenn said, hey, everybody, here's what we need to do. Again, we were coming out of the worst recession. It was the financial meltdown. You had the credit crunch, the housing bubble burst. You had all this stuff coming together that really knocked everybody off their perch. And so Glenn, as a critical analyst, started looking at brokerage models and saying, okay, what's a sustainable model for not just us agents, but also for the brokerages. And by that, he started looking for sort of what he called the inefficiencies in the model, or like some of which being bricks and mortar costs, redundant overhead, staffing costs, having to have staff on every corner, having to have offices on every corner. So that's sort of what Glenn realized was one of the biggest offenders of being efficient. And so he effectively said, hey, if we're going to roll out a new brokerage, we're going to cut the bricks and mortar out. And so that was our first major game changer. We found a cloud office. I'll share with you what that looks like in a minute. So we jumped in, we started using a cloud office every single day. We started meeting every single day. And by cloud office, and by the way, the term cloud wasn't even around back then in 2008, 2009. But by cloud office, I mean a 3D immersive video game platform where we had little avatars. We could sit at boardrooms. We could have meetings. We could share our screens on the wall and work together and collaborate together. Glenn could bring all of his staff, all of his website designers, all of the accountants, everybody you need to run a brokerage, he brought into one location, including all of his team leaders, all of his agents around the country. And now he didn't have to travel. He didn't have to put bricks and mortar costs together. He could basically run his entire brokerage without really having to leave the confines of his laptop. And so that was the first game changer we brought to the real estate model. And the second was, now that we were more efficient, and we could run it a leaner and meaner, more recession-proof, basically a recession-proof business model, we can now give back the agents more of their money in the form of residual income. So instead of paying off of a profit number, we flipped it around and we actually started paying off of a gross commission number. So any agent that helped us grow, they could certainly participate in the revenue share by a much larger factor than you could with profit share. And so those were the first two things that we rolled out eXp with in 2009. And everybody looked at us like we were crazy aliens that just came down from Planet Video Game. And they were like, that'll never work. You guys don't, you got to have offices. You got to do it this way. You got to do it that way. And, it was kind of tough sledding for a minute. And again, we were coming out of the worst economy of, in real estate that we'd ever seen, maybe in our lifetimes. And so it was tough, but as companies were closing their doors, we were opening our doors, and we started opening up new markets and new states, and we could roll out faster than anybody else by leveraging the cloud office. And, where most franchises would be 6 to 9 months, for tenant improvements and securing leases and getting open for business, we could do it in 60 to 90 days. And so we started sweeping across the country. And again, we were just picking up little early adopters and brokers and owners and teen mega agents that wanted to jump in and be folks like Jim Gerard, who opened up South Carolina, and Suzanne Fuqua, who opened up Arizona, and a number of other folks that are on the call today. Just started, we started kind of gobbling up these early adopters. And it took us 6 years to get to 1,000 agents. 6 months after that, we doubled. 6 months after that, we doubled again. And in the last 2 or 3 years, we brought in over 24,000 agents. And so something's happening. This isn't just, we're not just those geeky nerds over in the corner playing video games anymore, right? Folks are coming to eXp in droves. Some of the biggest names in real estate are joining us. As a matter of fact, some of the biggest names are on this call today. And we're going to go through that, and we're going to call on a few folks here in a minute. But I just want to share with you what I mean by compensation plan revolution, right? Let me just be very honest with everybody. I've got my fingerprints on everything from the logo to the letterhead. I love this company. I bleed orange and blue. I dream in 3D and virtual. I dream in virtual. I've been using this company and been helping grow this company for over 11 years, and actually 15 years I've been working with Glenn Sanford. And let me tell you something. People are not coming over for the logo, right? I mean, I love the logo. It's beautiful. I helped create the logo. I really love the logo. But that's not why people are joining eXp in droves, okay? They're coming over because it's a compensation plan revolution. So you're going to see that here as we go through this and get into the numbers in earnest. I could do an hour on every one of our core values. Again, I've touched on sustainability, transparency, collaboration, innovation. We're super agile. We're a fun group. We get together, a couple times a year for shareholders meetings and in eXp cons. And one of the number one comments people say when they leave one of our events is, I can't believe how many smiling faces there are at this event. I go to these events every single year. I go to, we have trade show people and mortgage people and title companies, and they've been doing this 25 years. And they say that every single time. I've never been around more exciting, energetic, happy people. And there's a reason why, right? When you're making money and you're successful and you're building wealth, life gets a little better. Okay, let's be honest. I mean, I'm not all about the money, right? I grew up, as a service industry professional. I was a waiter. I was a busboy. I was a caddy. I dug ditches. I worked for the railroad, right? I grew up around affluent people, but I was from the other side of the tracks. And so I developed a philosophy of helping others. And that was sort of my give back. And as an athlete, you have to be a leader and a role player and a team player. And so that was kind of my mindset growing up. And I still have that mindset, right? I still want to help other people. As a matter of fact, this company's helped me so much that I don't have to do another thing the rest of my life. And as a matter of fact, not only do I never have to sell a house again, my kids will never have to sell a house again. And potentially their kids will never have to sell a house. And I mean by have to, right? Because as a real estate agent, we typically are only as good as our last sale, right? And you have to sell a house to make ends meet. You have to get a closing this month. And my dad was my number one coach and sales mentor. And he used to say, Brian, the most important thing in sales is you got to act like you don't need it. You got to act like you don't need the sale. But unfortunately in real estate, we always needed it. And it might cause you to do some things that you wouldn't normally do. And certainly it's going to elevate your stress levels and your anxiety levels. And it might impact your family and your personal and your health and wellness. And you don't have time to go to the gym, and you don't have time to do this. And you might not be able to afford Christmas presents if you can't get a closing. And believe me, I did that dance for 15 years. So I know it very well. It's the feast and famine, make money, spend money, broke, make money, spend money, broke, right? And you better be a good saver or a good investor, because guess what, folks? There's no way out, right? There's no way off the hamster wheel if you're only collecting what you can catch with your own two hands. If you're at the center of your hamster wheel and that business doesn't run unless you're running in the middle of the hamster ball, if you can't step away or you can't walk away or you have nothing to show for a 20, 30, 15, 10-year career in sales, if you can't stop today and your business keeps going without you, then you're doing it wrong. Okay. And I'm going to show you how to do it right. And I'm going to call on a few people here in a second who are actually running the play to an amazing degree and have literally changed their families in the trajectory of their family, generational income levels. Right. And so, again, I'm kind of speeding through some of this other stuff. We've got tons of tools, tons of training, tons of support. I put our calendar up against any other brokerage in the world. The tools package that you're going to get is bar none the best in the business. You even get things like KV Core platforms, which is a $8,000 a year product that you get for your $85 a month tech fee. We're super low cost. It's a super low bar entry. It's $150 to sign up. We're a 16,000 cap. We're 80-20 split until you cap. And that's all good. So I'd put our apples against any other apples out there. But when you start adding our oranges and then you start adding the pineapple, you're going to realize we have more going on in our compensation basket than anybody else. Okay. And so let's go over the stock real quick, because I just want to be very clear and I want to share with you what is actually changing everybody's lives in detail. And so number one, listen, you're out there, you're selling houses. At any other brokerage in the world, you sell houses, you get your closing, and you get maybe a paper certificate, or you get a little fake trophy for being a top producer, or a little fake glass trophy or whatever. Maybe get a little award certificate. Well, at eXp, if you produce, you're going to get a real certificate that's a stock certificate with a dollar amount attached to it. Okay. So the way it works is at eXp, every time you do your first deal of the year, you're going to get stock. So right out of the box, whether you're a brand new agent or a top producer for 25 years, you do a deal at eXp, you're going to get stock. Right now, it's about $200 worth of stock. And you get that every year for your first deal of the year. Okay. You get stock when you cap. Right now, it's about $400 worth of stock. And so when you cap at eXp, again, 80-20 split till you pay 16 for the year. And then once you cap, not only do you get a nice little capper award, but it actually has, again, a stock value to it. Right. And it's not just a ball cap with the word capper. Right? And then for everybody you sponsor, when they do their first deal, you get stock for that as well. So again, 3 stock awards, all based in production. Okay. And then the next level down, you see Icon Agent Awards. So if anybody on this call is doing about 10+ million a year or wants to do 10+ million a year, and there's some other, factors in there, but I'll explain those in a second. But basically, if you do a consistent high level of volume, you can actually earn your $16,000 cap back in the form of stock. Okay. So now you're on the 100% plus plan. Right? You're investing your $16,000 cap, and then the return is going to be exponentially greater. I'll give you a great example. If you would have been a capper with us in the first year we rolled out the program, average stock price was 30-40 cents a share. Okay. If you take 16,000 divided by 30 cents a share, it's something like 53,000 shares of stock that's now trading at over, $8-9 a share. That's almost a $500,000 return on a $16,000 investment. And I'm not talking 1915. I'm talking 2015. Right? Less than 5 years later, you're sitting on $500,000. If you can show me any other investment strategy where if I would have invested $16,000, I'd be sitting on $500,000 5 years later, I would like to know about it. Okay. But that's the power of that one award, right? And you could hit that award every year, right? So if you do a significant volume, it's a great award. We've got a few people on the call today that are actually Icon agents, and I'll probably call on them in a minute. And the last award on here, which is the Agent Equity Program, it's actually a buy-in. It's actually, think of this more as a real estate 401k plan, right? You're investing 5% of every commission, right? Your gross commission, 5% goes towards buying discounted stock. So now you're making money just buying it, right? It's automatically taken out of your closing. We track it in our Morgan Stanley stock tracker. You get a nice back office system that tracks everything. And you can go in and watch those stock awards grow and grow and grow. I'll give you a great, just a great little anecdote. I'm not sure if he's on the call today. If he is, feel free to pop on your mic. But Kevin Mullaney, good friend of mine, out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. Kevin came to eXp 7 years ago as a rookie in real estate. Again, he's in Albuquerque, New Mexico. He just took advantage of the tools, the training, the support, collaboration with other top agents around the country and internationally. He implemented, he learned, he, again, collaborated with the best of the best. And he just put his head down and sold houses. And in his first 3 years, he was a capper. So he got stock when he did his first deal. He got stock at the discount. He got stock as a capper. And then the last 3 years, he's been an icon. So again, he's still getting that capper stock, that first transaction of the year stock. He's buying the stock at a discount off of every closing. And now he's getting his Icon Agent Award. And I asked Kevin, I said, Kevin, how much stock do you have, by the way? And he said, Brian, I got almost 2 million in stock. And I'm like, and how old are you? And he's like, I'm not even 33 yet. So he's been in real estate 7 years. He's more than 10 years younger than me. And he's already a multimillionaire just selling houses at eXp. Right? So talk about life-changing. That's a huge, huge opportunity. And by the way, he didn't.
Come here.
Oh, sorry. I thought someone was going to ask me a question. So that's the stock awards. Again, we'll open this up for questions at the end. If anybody does have any, we'll definitely jump into that. But I just want to cover the other piece because this is really important. Great. So the stock is the stock. That's its own deal. You get it from selling houses at eXp. Okay. Now, certainly you can jump on E-Trade and buy stock, but you can't get it at a discount anywhere. The only way to get a discount stock is to close deals at eXp. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the rev share, right? The rev share. This is huge, right? Now, the way I look at my business, I think of my business as like I call it the wealth triangle, right? You got your sales line. That's your income stream at the bottom. That's the engine that powers your business. You're selling houses. You get paid every time you have a closing. You only get paid once. But now at eXp, you've added the equity line, right? So you got your sales line at the bottom. You've got your equity line. Every house you sell, you get your stock, right? Now we're going to add the third leg, which is the passive line. Passive income is amazing, folks. Don't let these naysayers and these, misinformed people throw out terms like Ponzi or pyramid or whatever. Listen, everything's a pyramid, right? You got CEOs, you got middle managers, executives, and then eventually you got employees, right? The money flows down. Let me ask you a question. Do you know what the opposite of a company that shares its revenue with its members is? It's one that keeps it all. Okay. So I happen to prefer working for a brokerage that shares revenue with me than one that just keeps it all in the owner team, right? I am now an owner, right? I own stock, and now I get to participate in every bit of the revenue that gets generated underneath my organization. So effectively, I have all the tools of ownership without any of the headaches, hassle, upfront costs. I don't have to provide tools, training, support, marketing. I don't have to invest $200,000 to open up a franchise, and I get to own a piece of the asset and participate in the revenue. Let's go, right? That's an amazing opportunity. I'm effectively running the Brian Colhane brokerage inside of the eXp opportunity with none of the headaches or hassle and all of the benefits, right? I'm in multiple markets. I got multiple income streams. So let me share with you how the revenue share plan works. Everybody you sponsor, no matter where they are, in USA, Canada, UK, or Australia, everybody you sponsor, whenever they do a deal, you get 3.5% of their gross commission up until they cap. So on a capper, you can earn $2,800 per capper, okay, per year, right? So add that up. Bring in 10 cappers, right? 10 people who do 3 million plus a year, okay? That's 28 grand a year from just 10 people, right? That's like almost the average American salary is 28 grand from bringing in 10 people. How about if you bring in 100 people, right? That's $280,000 a year, right? So you can see how this starts to add up pretty significantly, right? And that's from cappers. Well, how about if they bring in people and they bring in people and they bring in people and they bring in people? And as a matter of fact, you get 7 tiers worth of revenue underneath your organization. But let me do this. This is a better way to explain it. I'm not even going to put in capper numbers. I'm just going to put in the average producer numbers. Average producer, I mean, this is probably even below average, but I'm going to say $1 million a year producer at 2.5% commission. Okay. And this applies to everybody in your entire 7-tiered organization. Okay. So everybody in your 7-tiered organization is doing basically the same production. They're all doing about $1 million a year. Doesn't matter how much you do. Okay. You can do your 10, 15, 20, 30, 100 million, whatever you're doing. Okay. So let's say in your first year, you bring in a whopping 4 people. Okay. You bring in 4 people, maybe one a quarter, one every 3 months. Maybe you did 4 or 5 deals this year. You bring in, you're dealing with other agents. By the way, you go to broker tours with them, you sit in open houses with them, you go to classes with them, you go to training events, networking events. Real estate agents are everywhere. You're surrounded by them. I bet if everybody on this call pulled out their cell phone right now and looked at it, you could find over 200 real estate agent names in your phone number if you've been in this business for more than a year. Okay. And then think about all the friends you have on Facebook and LinkedIn and all that stuff. So the real estate agents are everywhere. As a matter of fact, they put their pictures on their cars and park benches and bus stops and, grocery store cart dividers. And so the real estate agents are everywhere. I'm in Arizona. If I hit a 3-wood into a tree, 3 real estate agents drop out. Okay. I think they're looking in my backyard right now, seeing if I want to sell my house. Okay. Anyways, so you bring in 4 of them in your first year. And let's say they are only a quarter as good as you, and they only bring in 1 person in their first year. Okay. So you bring in 4, they bring in 1 each. You got 8 people in your entire organization, and let's just see how that flows out. Okay, great. You're making $3,700 a year extra. That's not bad. I mean, that'll cover your cell phone bill, maybe a little towards the cable bill, right? The Netflix bill, whatever it is. And that's not bad. But if you notice, you're only getting a little sliver income on that level 2 number. So let me show you why. If you go back to the PowerPoint here, and again, we'll share all these links in the chat, and you can kind of go through and look at this numbers and run all this stuff on your own. As a matter of fact, the rev share is just revsharecalculator.com. I think this is a good time for me to say, listen, even though I was the president for 3 years and the chief cultural officer, nothing I say is official company business. Okay. These are all, these are not income claims. These are the potential. So I just want you to know you may come over and not do any of this. Okay. And there are people that come over and don't take advantage of this. So this is not a guarantee that you're going to make this kind of money, but this is just to show you the potential. And there are people that are making exponentially more than this. Okay. But the way it works is you make 3.5% on everybody you personally sponsor, but then on levels 2 through 7, you're only getting that little fractional of a percentage. So how do you get that bigger number in the middle column to get added to this fractional? Well, you got to consistently bring in more people personally. So once you bring in 5 people, you unlock level 2 bonus. So right now you're just getting that little $200 piece. Watch what happens when I turn the 4 to a 5. This means I just brought in 1 more additional friend, and now it went from $200 to $5,000. Okay, Brian, now you got my attention. That's 11, 9, 10, 11 grand a year. That's cool. Okay, well, I want more of that. And by the way, your downline is not just going to bring in 1 person for your second level. Your people are going to start bringing in people. People are going to start bringing people, and so forth and so on. So your downline is going to start to organically grow, whether you want to or not. So I'm just going to put the number 1 in. That means everybody in your entire organization is only bringing in their best friend, okay, for their career, right? And let's say you just watch. Let's say we punch this out. Let's make it 10. So now you're getting that 3rd level bonus, right? Now you're starting to add up. You brought in 10 people. And by the way, just look at the front 3 lines, right? You're already closing in on, 25, 26 grand a year. You bring in 10 people who bring in 1 each, That's 30 people in your entire organization. You're closing in on 30 grand a year. It's not a lot of people, folks. By the way, eXp is bringing in 1,500 to 2,000 a month consistently. So guess what? They're coming anyway. You don't have to make this a whole nother business. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. The machine's already built. We're already doing this. We do Zoom calls. We do lunch and learns. We do presentations. We do cloud meetings. We got videos. We got webinars. I mean, all you got to do is just jump in and introduce people to whoever invited you on the call today. And that's basically the name of the game, right? It's being a good inviter. But let me punch this through a couple more scenarios. Let's say you bring in 25 people. Okay, this is a good 5-year plan. Bring in 5 people a year, right? Now, some will bring in 5 a month, but let's just say you're just doing this passively on the side. You bring in 5 people a year for 5 years. You brought in 25 people, and everybody else is terrible at it. That's $96,000 a year. That's not a bad rainy day fund, right? That will allow you to take a day off. That will allow you to potentially take a month off, maybe even potentially retire. Right now, I'm not saying you want to retire. I don't think I'll ever want to retire, but I like the option to retire, right? I like the option to drop my phone in a bucket of water for 3 months and disappear. I like the option to be able to take my weekends off and play with my kids. And by the way, I take it from someone who broke his hip and couldn't walk for 8 months. It's nice getting this little side income when you have all your eggs potentially in a sales basket, right? Don't be a 1 income player. Don't be, how they say in basketball, don't be a 1-dimensional player. right? Be a 3-tool, be a 5-tool player. In baseball, they talk about being a 5-tool player. Well, don't be a one income player, right? Start diversifying your income streams, because you never know, that rainy day, that injury, that sick family member that now you got to be a full-time caregiver of, right? That can knock you off your perch real fast. And oh, by the way, don't be a one market player, right? Think about how many people right now in maybe New York or New Jersey or some of these other hard hit markets are freaking out. I don't care if you had a 25-year run of dominating your market because of nothing of your own doing, you are now probably freaking out. Look at like maybe someone like Frederick from $1 Million Listing. This guy's like the #1 agent in the world, and he's got all his eggs in a Manhattan real estate market basket. I've got friends in other markets, actually. Kirk Brown, maybe I'll have you share your story in a little bit, but Kirk Brown's down in Louisiana. They're still digging out from that great flood of Baton Rouge. Kirk probably lost 10, 15 listings in one weekend. His partner, Darren, lost probably 40 or 50 listings. And I don't mean they lost the contract got canceled. I mean, these people lost their homes. And so, if you're only building your sandcastle in one market, you never know when that tide's going to come and wash it all away. Okay. I don't care how long you've been doing it. It can happen. It happened to me. Right. So anyways, thank gosh I was a part of eXp, and I had built up a decent sized revenue share business. And oh, by the way, when I broke my hip, we were only a year and a half old. I only had about 30 or 40 people in my group. Okay. So I was just enough to keep the lights on. It was just enough to keep my family afloat. My wife was not over at Cigna collecting a huge benefits package. Well, let me show you a couple other scenarios. How about bring in 2 people a year for 5 years, right? 10. And how about your 10 do the same thing? 10 who bring in 10. And that's it. I'm going to put zeros in for the rest of these. Okay. So 10 who bring in 10, and everybody else is not even bringing in anybody. Okay. 10 who bring in 10, that's $108,000 a year, 5 years from now. So that's a great 5-year plan. Again, some will do this, some will do less, and some will do a heck of a lot more. So with that, I want to start calling on a few folks, because this is really the game changer. Oh, by the way, let me show you what 1,000 people, and oh, by the way, they're all just doing $1 million in production. So this is what 1,000 people in your organization has the potential to look like, even if they're all terrible at selling houses. None of them can get over 2.5% commission on a side, and you're bringing in a whopping 2 people a year. Okay, that's not a lot of people, right? As a matter of fact, if you're bringing less than 2 people a year, you're actively not trying to bring people in. You're trying to keep this a secret. Okay, so I want to start by going down the line here. I want to call on somebody very special to me, someone who's really jumped in the last couple of years and just seize this opportunity with 2 hands. Christina Swires, can you turn on your mic and maybe tell people kind of how eXp has changed your life? Oh, wait, I'm not hearing you. Oh no, there we go.
Can you hear me?
Yep, please go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I was having technical difficulties earlier. So yeah, eXp, wow, to say in a nutshell how this company has really changed my life is kind of an understatement. I have been licensed for 5 years. My first year in real estate, I started at a franchise. I only sold 3 houses. I was terrible at this job. I thought I probably maybe should try something else, but I hung in there. I took a job with an investment brokerage. I learned a ton working with investors in that space. And at the time at that brokerage, somebody brought me eXp, and I told the guy to take a hike for about 6 months. And then I finally sat down and said, show me, what we're talking about here. Show me the math, essentially, as Brian says, it's just simple math. And when somebody showed me that, I realized I was leaving almost $30,000 of commissions on the table. So I knew I had to make a decision. And I literally left my last company kicking and screaming. When I say that, we were like a family. It was very difficult for me to leave that situation, but I knew I had to. And I knew I was onto something. I just had an inclination. I'm in St. Louis, in the heart of the country, and we do things a little bit differently than the rest of the country on the East and West Coast. We're usually the last one to get anything. And I was the 11th eXp agent starting in St. Louis. So when I started, no one knew about the company. And I just started sharing the opportunity with other people, because I knew it was going to not only change my life to save more money from a commission standpoint with our very generous splits and caps, low caps, but with the opportunity, with the revenue sharing and with the stock options. And now it's grown so much to had health insurance and an iBuyer platform. I work with a lot of investors. We're one of the only iBuyer platforms that is still buying. And it's a way for them to keep the agent in a deal, never cutting us out of a deal. And that's one thing. I'll have my 3-year eXp anniversary October 1st. I actually just hit my cap for this year yesterday, and I'm gunning for the icon. So this year, I'm on track to hit icon, and I'm really, really excited to get my 16,000 back in stock. But honestly, the biggest thing for me, besides all of that, like even if they took away the revenue share and the stocks, I would still be with this company, and I'm going to tell you why. The connections that I have made are unprecedented. And when I tell you I'm a small town Midwest girl, like I'm a simple person, I don't need a lot, I'm not extravagant with things. I think money is great, you know, the things that we can do with it. But for me, like my husband lost his job in 2018. I literally am the breadwinner for my family. And this company has connected me with people all over the world, not even this country, all over the world, like in Canada and the UK. And just, I now have business partners in every state that out of the 7 million I sold last year, 2 million of that were from referrals from other eXp agents. Like I've been able to connect with people, and Brian, you're a big part of that. Like you've really helped me a ton the last 2 years, but a lot of that is also just the connections, the quality, the high level collaboration that we have in our company is like another, it's so hard to explain because.
Well, let me ask you a question. So do you think as a person, being a part of this organization has made you a better person at some level? Is that kind of what I hear you saying?
100%. Like if you ask people that knew me, 3 years ago before I started with this company, they'd be like, oh my God, you have changed so much, but for the good, this is so rewarding for me to like, not only sell real estate and help people, which is what we do every day. We have a very important job, but to help other people understand revenue share and passive income and what that can do for your family. And then now I mentor new agents and teach them how to do this, but to see other people doing that is so incredibly rewarding. Right. That's the goal. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. Like I've worked really, really hard to get to where I am, but I mean, I had a huge real estate developer that's in our California market call me. He's flying in tomorrow. They're doing a $15 million senior living in North County here. And he asked me to meet him because he saw I won an award in eXp. And he's like, hey, I have a lot of connections that I think I can help you with. We're meeting with the mayor. That would have never happened if I wasn't with this company. Yeah. The caliber of agents and I've been able to connect myself with, it's just such a high level. It's unexplainable.
Well, you're crushing it, and I'm so proud of you for how you've just seized this opportunity. I'll never forget meeting you down in New Orleans in that rainy, that party tent. We were doing some sort of block party, Mardi Gras deal, and someone came running up to me and said, you got to meet Christina. She's in your downline. I didn't even know your name, didn't know you. Someone says, you need to talk to this girl. She's unbelievable. And then you and I just had a great powwow for about 30 minutes, and we've been, thick as thieves ever since. But you've really seized this opportunity with two hands. And I mean, listen, I've been a part of this opportunity. I helped shape this opportunity. I've seen a lot of people come and go, and you are really at the top of the list as far as people that are running the play and just kicking major butt. So kudos to you for doing that, Christina. I really appreciate being a partner with you. I'm going to call on somebody else here. I want to go down the line. Jeff Hannon, are you on? Can you throw the mic on, Jeff? Let's see. So we got Jeff Hannon.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead. Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, how's it going, Brian?
So let me tell you about Jeff Hannon. Jeff Hannon is down in Tucson. And if everyone could just mute their mics, we're getting I'm hearing somebody's watching a little news or something, so I'm getting a little TV in the background. But thank you. Appreciate that. So Jeff Hannon, down in Tucson, Jeff and I connected on Twitter, I think, or something. I don't know. It was a few years ago. But why don't you talk about how you got into the opportunity, what you saw with eXp when you brought your team over, and then how it's been for you ever since?
Sure. So I own my own brokerage from 2001 until 2016 when I found eXp. And I was actually looking for a CRM, which I found, which was at the time was Conversion. And I was getting ready to, I had my credit card out on the desk and I was just doing my last minute research. And I saw a link that said eXp provides their agents conversion for free. I thought, oh, that's interesting. Let me check that out. Now, that by itself wouldn't have, made me switch, but it did make me click and go to their website because, it saves me $6,000 something a year to get it for free. But now I'm paying a split. Now I'm paying a fee, and I own my own brokerage. I don't pay anybody anything. But once I saw revenue share and stock, it was probably about 45 minutes before I was on the phone with Jim Newth. Like, how do I join? It was just such a no-brainer. And probably 15 minutes of that time was spent trying to find Jim's phone number. Actually just find who to call. And it ended up being Jim Newth. But since then, it's grown. I think so. My first year at eXp, just to kind of a breakdown of how it happened. 2016 was my first year. I joined in May, made $0 in revenue share, had a couple agents come over towards the end of the year. 2017, let me look up on my board. My average monthly revenue share was $743. Not life-changing, but it was really exciting because I knew, I already projected how it was going to grow. I knew from day one.
Car payment.
Yeah, totally. And then
Nice
2018, average monthly rev share, $2,326. I had grown to 51 agents by the end of that year. And then last year, 2019, $4,707 average monthly rev share.
Wow.
Totally life-changing. Just gives me the flexibility to do what I need to do in sales without, not having commission.
Could you expand on that? Like, talk about, because I think a lot of people think they're separate businesses. Can you expound on how the revenue share has actually helped? Because you didn't give up selling houses, right? You've been selling houses at an amazing clip. So talk about how that helps.
Honestly, I've never talked to anybody whose sales didn't go up after they joined eXp. Well, first of all, you get KV Core, which is top of the line CRM lead conversion website. I was just in there this morning. I love that thing. And the revenue share gives you more marketing dollars to use. The more marketing dollars gives you more sales. More sales puts you in conversation with more agents because you're doing cross deals with them. And, usually, 1 out of every 3 deals, it ends with, hey, tell me more about eXp. Some of them join, some of them don't. But it's been life-changing because it just gives you, like, if you need a sale, it's tough to get a sale. If you don't need a sale, they just kind of fall in your lap. That's just what I found.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have the flexibility to not do sales if I don't want to. If I want to go out of town for a month, I can. Everything's covered.
Can you also touch on this for me, Jeff, since you have experience running a brokerage? Could you talk about sort of how this has impacted your day-to-day life, maybe your time freedom piece a little bit?
So when I say I had a brokerage, it was just me as a solo broker. And I actually got my broker's license almost to the day when I qualified 3 years in. And I knew I wanted to be a self-employed broker. Over those 12 years, I kept going back and forth whether I wanted to recruit agents or not. And I kept landing on no because of the liability, the contract review, and all that, all the headaches involved with it. But, how do you scale as one person? And it bugged me. That's why when I saw the opportunity for eXp, now I could build a brokerage within eXp and somebody else is reviewing the contracts. Right. Somebody else is taking on all the liability for, $85 a month. That's ridiculous.
Ridiculous. No, you're the man. I appreciate partnering with you, sir. It's been awesome. Kind of funny little side story. I was trying to get Jeff to come up to meet Glenn Sanford for a lead gen class. And he had already reached out to Jim Newth, and he's like, wow, this company's unbelievable. But I was trying to bring you in, and it all worked out at the end of the day. But it's just the power of this opportunity. It's spreading fast. Thanks, Jeff, for sharing your story. I'm gonna throw on let's see, Trenton Johnson. Are you here, sir? Oh, it looks like he's back. All right, Trenton, throw your mic on. I wanna get your story.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Good. So I got Trenton Johnson down in Dallas. Trenton's been a top producer year in and year out. He's got an amazing viral video. Maybe you can share that story. But Trenton, you've only been with eXp for a little bit, but I know that this has really impacted you and your brother in a big way. Maybe talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I joined back in December. And it, my little brother, Clifton Johnson, has been an Icon agent. And I just happened to be over in his office one day, and he had his ShareWorks open. And so, showing his stock. So I asked him, I was like, because he'd introduced it to me 2 years ago, but at the time, I'm number one in the brokerage and pats on the back left and right. I'm top of the world. I don't need this, transaction-free brokerage, all that stuff. Life was good. How much better could it get, right?
Yeah.
So, and then he showed me, he tried to tell me, and in retrospect, he's like, well, I tried to tell you, but you wouldn't listen anyway. And he was right. But once he kind of went over the program and I saw what he had accumulated in 2 years, I was like, you didn't do anything for this other than just your normal day-to-day, stock. Working, selling homes and stuff. And then you're building stock. And I'm seeing him, every agent that he was working with on deals. And every time I look up, he was adding, people or just talking to people, telling other agents, about eXp. And it just made sense, And so, it's just quote unquote hashtag it's just math. And then they all were coming over. And then I finally I finally listened and it made sense. I went on and made the jump. And like I said, I've been with eXp now for 5 months. And, my productivity, even in the midst of what's going on right now, it hadn't fallen off a lot at all. I may have lost 2 deals, maybe 3, but for the most part, I'm still averaging, 6 or 7 closings. And, everything is looking good so far, and that's a blessing. I got it in a little bit. But,
well, and
yeah,
I remember the first time you and I chatted on the phone. I think you reached out to me and you said, "Hey, Brian, I just want to pick your brain on this opportunity." And I recognized right away. I said, "This guy's a world beater. You and your brother are so dynamic. The videos you guys put together, the just taking the flag and running it around town. Yeah. I can't thank you guys enough for all that you've done and all the energy you pour into this. Has it taken away from your production business to do some of this other stuff that we're talking about, or what do you think?"
No, it hasn't. Like I said, it's just normal conversations that you have anyway with other agents. And it's just getting them to understand the old model is the old model, not, eXp is completely different. So I understand the struggle and the change of mindset. But once you can see that, it only makes sense. So no, it hasn't taken away from my productivity at all. With all the classes that eXp offers, I highly encourage, agents that I sponsor to definitely go to these classes. And I'm available, of course, as a mentor to do, answer questions and such. But eXp offers so much, it's incredible.
Well, it does a lot of the heavy lifting for you, like Jeff mentioned earlier, and it just gives us the best of both worlds, right? I'm still selling houses. As a matter of fact, I'm having one of the best real estate years in my 15-year career. And guess how many appointments I went on? 0. Guess how many houses I showed to buyers this year? 0. Guess how many contracts I wrote? 0. And I'll probably close between 12 and 15 million under my name this year, but it's all referrals. It's lead generation. When I get those rev share checks, when I get that stock report, I take some of this and some of that. And guess what I reinvested into? My sales business. And so now I can pay for leads and marketing and cool shirts and video production. And is that going to hurt my sales business if I'm elevating my profile and reinvesting other income streams into my sales operation? Heck no, it's not. No. So I'm just going to run down the list. We're going to go to Kirk Brown. After Kirk, we're going to run by Hennish out in Orange County. And then I'm even going to call on Anthony, who's got probably the best background of the day here. I want to know more about that background. And then we'll see if we have time for a few other folks. If Sarah, if you're on, stay on. I want to get to you as well. So let me throw on Kirk's mic. Thank you, Trenton. I appreciate you, brother. All right, Kirk, are you there, sir?
Yes, sir.
Kirk Brown. Captain Kirk, how you doing today?
Here I am, in the flesh.
Well, Captain, I kind of touched on your sort of market focus, how the devastation you guys experienced in Baton Rouge and around Louisiana. Can you maybe talk about how maybe, talk about whatever you want, but maybe touch on that a little bit for us as well.
Yeah. Well, we could go an hour or two, you and I, and talk. I really need to tell this story more often. I need to do it on my YouTube channel. But I got in when we were less than 700 people, so it gave me an opportunity to get to know you, Brian. We became really good friends, and I can tell you right now that it'll be 5 years in October that I came to eXp, right? And we're at almost 30,000 agents. And the collaboration that we had when we were 700 agents is just as good today, but actually even better, because we brought all these top producers on, like what Trenton was saying, and back then, Brian, I was just laughing. I was like, man, we had a calculator. We could do rev share calculations. We could do certain things. Man, we had no tools, man. We were making stuff up,
Right.
but we were building the company, right?
That's back of a foggy window on a steamy window. We were.
Yeah, exactly. And so, man, we were just pulling out all the stuff, but it made us better. And, I think every time I've taught a class in the world, I've done anything, and, I think about the connection we have, man. I mean, I don't know how many people on here right now, but I've been in your meetings where there's been hundreds of people in there,
Yep.
and they're from all over the world. I could call any one of those people and say, hey, we won Brian Cohane's call today. Hey, I just want to ask, like what, 2 weeks ago with Michael LaFido, my deal's about collaboration and about how Trenton is helping his sales organization, and about how Michael Dezet's got 20, 25 years of in the business, but saw an opportunity to help other people doing leads and building another organization. But I was able to call to find out about some luxury things I got coming up, actually Friday, right? So it's a big deal for me. It's going to be a life changer, no doubt, is the fact that I could call a luxury agent from eXp in Florida. She picked my call up and spent 30 minutes with me to help me and direct me. Paul Saperstein, he posted something. I met Paul at one of our shareholder meetings, and Paul's got a team and, all this. And, man, we sat there for an hour and a half, and I picked his brain or whatever. We stay in touch. He's way down in Florida. I've met him one time.
Yeah.
But the amount of support, the amount of collaboration, that word collaboration just means so much to me, right?
Yeah.
About how I can reach somebody in Arizona and talk about their market, and they feel no pressure about helping Captain Kirk or the Captain Kirk team, because we're not in the same market, versus walking into a local brick and mortar and the top guy going, what's in it for me?
Right. And maybe touch on this too, because obviously, there's people here that are part of other national brands, and they maybe have some referral relationships, but it's more than just referral relationships, right? It's the fact that we're all shareholders. Could you touch on that piece a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, look, the opportunity is just as good. And look, I mean, when you hear Glenn say, we're heading to 400,000 agents by, in the next 5 years or whatever, and we're going worldwide, I promise you it's going to happen. Yeah. The opportunity is so unbelievable. Yeah. It's got me so, I caught my footing, right, through RevShare. And you mentioned, I think, a few times, or so I had to take a call I could not miss. But they, through the flood, I had $2,200 a month coming in RevShare.
Wow.
And although my wife was still working, I was living in my camper in the backyard. My kids were in an uproar. My house was in, shambles. But that $2,200 helped keep me afloat for my, my expenses and my business.
No doubt.
And yeah, and so. And
you didn't have thousands of people in your organization either, right?
Not at all.
How many are we talking?
No. And, the good thing about it is, the Louisiana flooded. But, I mean, I had people in Alabama and Florida and Georgia and all these other areas that were still producing and selling real estate. And so that's another beautiful thing, is that being able to go across state lines like that, if one small area is affected, then you've got agents in other areas. Yep. Absolutely. No,
and listen, Kirk, you're right. You and I could probably do 3 hours on all this stuff, and it's great catching up with you. And I love you, brother. You're a great guy, and you're an awesome professional, and I'm proud to be partnered with you through eXp and to be friends with you. I want to kind of go down the line here. I want to call on Henish. Henish Palikal is in Orange County, and he's rocking and rolling. A little bit about Henish. He's doing some home building. He's a businessman. happens to be in real estate. Henish, can you maybe talk about why you joined eXp and then how it's been for you ever since?
Yeah, absolutely. When I met you initially about 2 years ago, I also had my own broker's license, and you guys still hear me
Yes,
fine?
sir.
Yeah. I had my own broker's license and was quickly paying a huge amount to pay for websites.
Oh, sorry. I lost you. Let me turn you back on. Go ahead.
I got muted.
You're good.
There we go. Yeah, so I was paying a huge amount in overhead for technology fees and and websites and things like that for the handful of agents that I had on my team. I only had about 6 or 7 agents at the time. And so I was like, man, this is getting expensive. I didn't really think about how expensive it would be to have my own brokerage versus being part of a bigger one. So when Brian came over with Jackie Mitchell and explained to me what they got going on, it was like it was easy. The numbers made sense in terms of just the lower overhead, working with them and having all the tools available. And I didn't really even think too much about the rev share. I was like, yeah, that's cool. But, this just keeps my costs down because my primary business here in San Diego is flipping houses. And I also own a construction company and things like that. So do a fair amount of real estate volume, anywhere from 10 to 20 million a year. But then, most of that is from my own flips, which generates a better revenue. But it was probably last year where I got a kick in the butt when I was finding out that all the big hitters in San Diego were switching over. When I was asking each of them why they're all joining, they're like, it's easy. They know the math, they know the numbers, and that's why they're all switching over. I was like, well, crap, if this isn't just like a niche thing, let me start talking to all the big hitters that I've got. So I've been having conversations with them, and it's not an overnight transition to get people to join, but I've still done a fairly good job getting people to sign up underneath and understand the value that it provides. And I really like eXp just for the fact that I can bring people on and then I'm not responsible for them. So I'm like, I want you to succeed, but I'm not going to hold your hand through this. You need help on the contract? Yeah, I'll look at it this time, but next time go check out the broker room. It's pretty good.
No, I love that. I mean, I love the fact that you saw this as a, sort of a business opportunity to save money. You came at it from kind of a business owner mindset, and then you sort of realized the power of the rev share and the stock, and now you've really kicked butt, and you've brought in a number of folks, and you've really gotten after it. What was your last rev share check, by the way? Or what's your largest?
I just capped, and I just looked at my thing while we were on this call, and I just had my anniversary on the 30th. So I capped, and last year made like $6,000 in rev share.
Wow.
So not a huge amount, but it was definitely something. But then I also saw that I had like another $11,000 in stock that just popped up in the last year too. So I was like, okay, so now this is starting to turn into some numbers that are offsetting my costs of being even in the brokerage.
How long you been in real estate total?
Since 2009, I've been licensed. I've been in the business since 2002.
So imagine having this opportunity for the last 15 years or 10 years, right? Imagine how much stock and how much rev share, and just like you said, just organically bringing in a couple people here, a couple people there, just making it a small focus, and over the last 15, 20 years, imagine where we'd be today.
Well, the thing with, it's always a kick in the pants, and you can't regret the past, is that all the people that I've had come through my organization that have learned real estate got up to doing 1 or 2 deals a month and then said, sorry, I'm going to go leave to a discount place. And then they all eventually, half of them ended up joining eXp anyways. So if I had only joined eXp a few years ago, those people would still be in my downline, would still be in the same organization, and I'd be, compelled to make sure that they continue to grow their organization and continue to sell. But whatever it is, what it is today. And so I'm doing the same thing. I'm adding people to my team, and once they're ready to leave the team, they're still in my organization, and all our interests are aligned. So I love that aspect of it.
That is a huge point, because in the old world, in the old model, you wanted to kind of keep your agents sort of blinders on them. You wanted to kind of not let them get too good because they would leave. And then now you just trained your competition, and then the bad ones would disappear because they just couldn't hack it. And so you kind of stuck with this sort of like trying to herd cats in this sort of mediocre middle of, maybe not the best of the best and maybe not the worst of the worst. But now in the eXp model, you can bring agents onto your real sales team. And then as they start to build and get better and better, you almost want to encourage them out of the nest, right? You almost want to go be your own brand and go build a 100-person organization. Go get after it. I support you. And you don't lose them anymore, right? Back in the old day, you would lose them, and now they're their competition. And now you've got this, you've got like a power center that's now going to go build the replicatable model underneath you without you having to do anything. I love
Absolutely right. No, that was the big thing for me, because I'm like, cool, come on in, and when you're ready to leave, and I've had that happen. People have been on for 6 months or a year. They're ready to go do their own thing because they got a feel for it. No problem. I
it.
don't
You're
mind
like,
losing
let's
that
do
split. Yeah, I don't
it.
mind losing that split because I know I'm still getting my rev share from them. So, and then I'm
Yeah.
also there to help them, agent attraction and any other
Yes.
things they've got going on business wise, or if they've got an idea and they need
They're
an
partners
investor.
for
Right.
life, right? I mean,
Right.
partners on everything. I look at a lot of the folks on this call today. I've started, Hennish and I started a company together that's a transaction coordination company that's now, a national entity that's working with some of the biggest teams in the world. And had I not have been a part of eXp, had you not have been a part of eXp, we never would have met. And we never would have formed that entity together. So again, what Kirk talked about, the power of the collaborative environment is real. I've actually started multiple businesses think about this, like you're joining an organization that's loaded with talented, entrepreneurial, real estate agents are some of the best people in the world. I mean, we're marketing geniuses, we're social media, we're fearless, we're all entrepreneurial, spirited, hard workers. And so, who better to surround yourself with than all these amazing, energetic people? And think of all the possibilities that could come out of that. So thank you again, sir, for jumping in and taking a chance. I'll never forget that meeting we had at that golf course, at that little rickety 2-person table, and all 5 of us were sitting there. And
That was great. Thanks, Brian. Hey guys, I got to roll. Appreciate it. Stay well.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. All right, Sarah, are you on the call today? Sarah Etienne.
Yes, I am. Hi.
Sarah, hi. Sarah and I, we just sort of recently connected, but this is also a testament to the power of the model. Sarah's in my organization, but again, I did not bring you in, right? So could you talk a little bit about how you came to eXp and what your experience has been?
Sure. I was introduced by Kathy Standish. She actually was in Hilton Head on vacation. I was in Savannah on vacation, and she invited us over to a condo they're staying in. The second I got there, she wouldn't shut up about eXp. She was just like, oh my God, you got to listen. And for 2 days straight, that's all I heard. I was at RE/MAX at the time. I loved RE/MAX. The back of my head, I knew that the eXp was the place for me. So 9 months later, my broker decided to relocate the office that I was in. And I didn't want to go. And it was a perfect timing, perfect opportunity. And now I absolutely love being part of eXp. I love all the agents that I've met. And I like all the different streams of income. I don't make a ton on revenue share right now, but last year, a couple of months, I made like $2,700-$2,800.
Well, that's not bad.
Yeah. No.
I mean, it's funny that because you got to remember, there's people on this call that are like 2,700 a month. What? Like that's life changing, right? We obviously see some bigger numbers out there, so we're kind of like, I'm just at 2,000 a month. But that's really, I mean, that's commendable. Let's not discount that.
No, it's exciting, but I also love that, like being a mentor as well, because I can actually do what I would do naturally to anybody who had joined a company I was with, and now I can make a little bit of money off of it, and I can also train the people who I bring on to make sure they're successful.
No, I love that totally. No, that's awesome. And again, power to the model is once you start building this, and by building it I mean building your rev share organization and just bringing in a few people, then they start bringing in people, and eventually you get what I call the power of the exponential multiplier. You get people joining your business that you don't even know, you didn't even meet. And at some level, if you think about it as a time cost versus financial return investment strategy, like what are you spending your time doing and what's going to be the return of that? What better investment of my time than to build something that eventually is going to build itself, right? And I don't have to be pushing the rock up the hill every single day, having every single conversation, taking every single call, talking to every agent in my brokerage, reviewing every contract. There's so many ways to spend time in real estate, and they don't all pay the same. I want to be sensitive of everybody's time. We're getting up a little over the hour mark, but I want to go to somebody else. And by the way, I see you, Michael Houston. I'm going to call on you. Stay on. Don't drop off if you're on, Michael. I want to talk to you too. But Anthony Dezette, could you pop your mic on? Thanks again, Sarah. I appreciate you. So Anthony, you and I are actually, I don't even think, are you in my downline? I'm not even 100% sure.
I don't know. I was just asking who got me in. Well, I'll tell you, I kind of fall. Sherry Elliott.
Yeah.
Gene,
Okay. Yeah. So this is what's cool about it. Before you jump into that, I just want to share. Anthony's not in my organization, but we become good friends through eXp and also through some other stuff on Facebook.
Yep.
And now we're both cold fusion brothers jumping in cold water
Yep.
every day. But
Man,
let's save that for the end.
Studying as we speak.
The biohackers cookbook. But Anthony, talk about why you joined eXp and a little bit about your story.
Man, I was at Keller Williams I've been in real estate 15 years, and it was at Keller Williams. And the big thing you mentioned about expansion teams, that's what I did at Keller Williams. I was in 5 different cities and saw an opportunity, man. Just the ability to grow a team. I mean, I'm in 6 different cities with 12 different agents right now on my Hometown City real estate team. And that was a big part of it, between the revenue share. I think what drew me in, Sherry Elliott, who brought me in Dallas, Texas. One day, I think when we were allowed to kind of still post those revenue share numbers, she posted it. And I was like, holy shit, what is this? So I called her not instantly. I'd say 3 months later, I just pulled the trigger. I was like, why not? That was a big part of it. Just seeing that piece, the opportunity to grow. And I love the expansion model. And man, it's just crazy what we can.
And you already had a growth mindset. You were already putting together an organization, right? You were already a builder.
And struggled through it, man. Struggled because of the
we'll
cost.
Talk about that. What's compare building an organization in the red company versus in the blue and orange company?
Well, man, so many things that you said when you guys started, and Glenn and you had the team in 7 cities, and just the collaborative piece, man. You having different accountants in different places, having different market center, personnel, having different. I mean, it was crazy that every place, in every different city was another feeding your team this either knowledge or not knowledge or good or bad. And I felt like I couldn't wrap my head to control it. And then now, man, it's just, they don't know any better. I mean, not in a bad way, but another great thing you mentioned too, man. I mean, at Keller Williams, I struggled with team building because people would come and go like crap. My retention was nothing. I mean, I'll tell you,
there's no reason to keep them other than maybe a half cap or some,
Right. I mean, they left and then they went to other companies, and now, man, it's every time I've had people who have left my direct sales team, but now they're still at eXp Realty. My retention has increased significantly.
Let me touch on that because I think if you're building any kind of organization, I think the 2 most essential ingredients are going to be attracting talent and retaining talent, right? So
Absolutely.
Attraction and retention. And what Anthony just described, beautifully was he struggled with both of those because he was inside of an infrastructure that was very complicated, a lot of red tape. You had local, fiefdoms everywhere. He was, having to do everything times 6 or 7 markets. So versus at eXp, we're all coming into one location. We're one central entity. We're one independent brokerage traded on the NASDAQ stock. We all are shareholders. There's a little more of a collaborative energy inside of our organization, right? When you say, even look at this today, you and I have become friends.
Right.
We're not even a part of the same revenue share organization,
Correct.
But I care about you. I want you to succeed. Because we're shareholders, we're partners, and you're a good guy.
Like even getting paid, man. I'll tell you, people don't realize this, but one of my big was getting paid. Like I have agents that work for me in Dallas and Atlanta, and I get paid the next day on their transactions, where before it would be 10, 14, 21 days later, a paycheck on one of my expansion team members. That was crazy.
Huge. No, that's huge. Listen, I got one or two more people I really need to call on. I want to go to Michael Houston. Arguably, I got a lot of my favorites on the call today, but Michael and I, as soon as we met that first time, probably was it in Chicago or where did we first meet, Michael?
That was at the first, let me see here. Not Chicago. It was I think 2 after that.
San Antonio?
I think it was San Antonio. Yep.
Yeah. So we met in the eXp
convention. Yes. eXp Con.
So we met, we connected, we both played basketball. He's got some sons that are, I don't know, are they about to get drafted for the NBA soon or maybe next year? But
hope so, man. That's the plan.
He's just an amazing dad, an amazing guy, an amazing real estate agent. Him and his wife have built a giant business. But talk about why you brought your real estate business. And again, we're not even in the same revenue share organization. And this is just the power of this model, is the people that you're going to meet and connect with that literally will change your life is unbelievable. Maybe touch on why you brought your business over and how it's been.
Absolutely. But first of all, I just want to tell everybody, hey, Brian Colhane, I remember when my wife and I came on board, what you got to understand is probably outside of Brian Cohan, I may be the oldest eXp agent on this call. And I don't even know who all is on this call. It was less than 115. It was less than 115 people in the entire world, the eXp Realty, when my wife and I came on board. So I'm here in the Northern Virginia market, the whole DC, Maryland, Virginia market. I can count all the eXp agents on one hand. And I was two of those fingers, my wife and I. So we came on board with Guy Allen. We were with Guy Allen's shop. As you know, he just transitioned out of being the managing broker for the state of Virginia. So we were with his shop. We had just came over from a previous small boutique brokerage. She was like a mother to us. She was actually the pastor's wife. She serves as co-pastor for our church. She had started a real estate business. I came in the industry in 2007. My wife was in 2005. I used to be a loan officer, but I saw her checks. I said, I need to jump over there and be a real estate agent. So we combined forces. We were with the small boutique brokerage for 5 years. They dissolved the brokerage to do some other things. It was doing really well. So we had to find a brokerage. We had met Guy Allen many years early in our career. So he was the person that we went to, sat in his office for 3 hours.
Love Guy.
Came on board with him. He had One Stop Realty. And so as soon as, we ordered our business cards, the ink hadn't even dried off. We were at 100%. He had a 10,000 square foot office. It was right up the street from where we lived, very convenient. We had deals under contract, we had listings. This was in the short sale market. This was, where bank-owned properties, short sales were big time. This was back in 2012. Yeah. And so we had just literally came on board in September 2012. And Guy was like, look, you know what? I've been looking at this company called eXp for about the past year because David Harbour was a broker. And we were like, EX who? Never heard of him. Never heard of him. And so, but he said, they got a model. I've been trying to build my company like this. He said, but it'll be much more expensive. I think I'm going to transition to my brokerage, but I want to get the buy-in of the agents first. So it was about 15 agents in our office, and we just had a lot of respect for Guy. He's a heavy hitter in our market here. Definitely been in business over 30 years. And so we were like, you know what, Guy, we've always been entrepreneurial. We had a lot of success in sales, but we were looking to get to that next level. We said, Guy, if you believe in it, you want us to take a look at it, we will. Keep in mind, eXp Realty didn't have conversion, didn't have KV Core. We weren't even a publicly traded company. We had blockheads in our cloud office. It wasn't all this fancy stuff we had now. And so to make a long story short, David Harbour, Guy brought us into a room. David Harbour came after the first 30 minutes, 45 minutes. We looked at Guy. Remember, Guy's our managing broker. We looked at him and said, I don't know if you're going, but we're going.
And we didn't even have stock, right?
I said, where's the paperwork? I'm signing now. Guy, you don't sign or you can be under me, but I'm going. So it was that powerful because when we saw, got through the cloud office, all that was fine and dandy. But when he talked about that revenue share, and I'd already been an entrepreneur, I'd done some other businesses, I understood, read cash flow quadrant, read the Rich Dad Poor Dad. So our mindset was already there. When we saw that revenue share, we were like, I'm out. We were at 100%, transferred over. We had some agents come on board. We were like, hey, if everything they're talking about is coming true over the next 5 years, this will change our life. My first 6 months in the business, got my first revenue share check off of one agent's production. It was over $940.
Wow.
My first check.
Wow. Do you have it framed somewhere? Did you cash it?
Man, that money's gone.
You reinvested it into your lead business.
But what you got to understand is we have 4 boys. We had a very busy lifestyle. Got 2 in high school now. So we fast forwarded our life and our vision 5 years from where we were at. We were like, we got to definitely do something different because, wanting to be there for each other, for our boys. We want to buy back our time. From the hustle and bustle of sales. You got to keep it and understand. My first 3 years, I capped my first 3 years while building. Yeah. Then I transitioned. My wife was under me, so I'm more. So she's capped over the past several years. But just in the last 2 years alone, we've earned. This company is. We've received close to 6 figures in revenue share just in the past 2 years.
Wow.
Just about a few thousand shy of
so that lets you take a Saturday off or two to go on a tournament or go watch your kids play sport.
True story. 2 years ago, my 2 oldest, they play travel ball. So we were able to drive to Texas for one of my sons, our second oldest, their team made the national tournament. So we had to drive to Dallas from Virginia for his tournament. And these were back to back. Right after that, we had to drive to Orlando, Florida for my oldest son's tournament. They played the Wild World of Sports. 2 weeks we were on the road, didn't miss a beat with our business. Rev share coming in. We had a team to help us with our clients. We were on the road literally 2 weeks away from my house for national basketball tournaments back to back. Our business didn't miss a beat. If it weren't for rev share and the stock and all that, we would not have been able to do that.
Right. No, that's huge. And listen, I love you, brother. You are awesome. You're an inspiration to me. You make me want to be a better father. And again, I don't say that to blow smoke or say it lightly because what are we doing anything for, right? What's the point of all of this? You know, what is your why? What motivates us? What gets us to get up in the morning and put on our boots and head out there and face, and try and go slay the dragon day in and day out? It's family. It's free time. It's, having access to cool experiences. And, I just look at you as just such a great role model, as someone who's, a few years ahead of me and my kids. But, I'm just, honored and thrilled that we connected. And, you've really helped impact my life. I probably haven't told you that much, but even just seeing you guys at those events and seeing you and your beautiful wife and just getting a chance to rap with you guys for a few minutes in between, sessions or, having a box lunch together. I mean, that's how impactful this company. Glenn would say at some level, eXp is a personal improvement company disguised as a real estate brokerage, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I just want to say real quickly, Brian, I used to sit in all your classes. Brian Coyne used to do all the revenue share classes every week. Remember that?
All the classes.
And sometimes it would just be 3 or 4 of us. And I remember we were one-on-one. One time we were an hour. I think it was just me sitting in there, and you were talking. And trust me, I wrote down everything you did. I still watch your videos from those old days.
Funny.
You're still the same person now as you were then. That's what I love about you, man.
Oh, I appreciate you. Well, hey, and maybe a few pounds lighter, right?
Yeah, of course. Looking good, man. Looking good.
Thank you. Well, listen, I could do this all day. We're going to actually start doing this every week. So I know we got a few more folks on that came on a little late. We've had some people drop off, but we're going to start doing this every week because I just think telling the stories is so powerful. You could, you just said, Michael, I could go through the presentation, and in one breath without stopping. But I think it's so much more powerful to hear these real stories from real estate professionals that have been out there duking it out, trying to provide for their families, coming from all different walks of life, coming from all different business ventures and, having all kinds of other stuff coming on, from all over the country and Canada and international. And just to hear the power of how this company's impacted your life really motivates me to want to do more, right? I mean, I don't technically have to do anything anymore. I've made a lot of money at eXp. I've become a very wealthy man, and my family, has benefited immensely. But to me, it's the giving back. It's the giving all the people that have taken a chance on us an opportunity to now get to where we're at in a fraction of the time it took us to get there. And like Michael described to you very beautifully, it wasn't always like it is now, folks. Right. This opportunity has grown, and the value that you came over and we didn't even have stock, right?
Right. Absolutely. I mean, I think I was the first one to sign up for that 5%, when that came out.
So I love it. No, that's awesome. That's powerful testimonial. And again, Michael and I just connected through the collaborative journey. And folks, we're not done yet either. If you're just seeing this for the first time, you might be thinking, oh, I wish I would have joined when Michael joined. And, I wish I would have joined, came over when Christina saw it or Anthony saw it. But I'm telling you, Anthony, you've only been here for not even that long, right? I mean, how long have you been with eXp?
Right at 3 years.
Yeah. I mean, so in 3 years, he's already built a massive organization. And we know folks that have, in shorter time than that are making 6 figures a month, right? Yeah, I mean, there's some people, the people that brought you in are doing unbelievable. I mean, it's really, I don't even want to say the numbers. It's so big. But that's the power of this model. It's a wealth building opportunity disguised as a real estate brokerage, disguised as a personal improvement company. So again, folks, I appreciate everybody jumping the call. I want to be super sensitive to everybody's time. And I actually have another call in about 20, 30 minutes. So I got to go jump in the cold water and get ready for it. But that's what's up. This is what we're doing. And we're going to start doing this all week, every week. Every week, we're going to start doing this on Tuesdays and maybe some other times. But again, if you have any more questions, get with whoever invited you on this call. They will share with you every bit of information. If I invited you, you can always reach out to me at Brian, BRIAN, at exprealty.com. Brian with an I at exprealty.com. So thanks everybody for jumping on the call. I'm going to stop the recording.